Okay, so today we're going to be working on the Chisel in Autodesk Inventor Professional 2022. And really, this is a great one for 3D modeling because our 3D view drawing kind of makes it a little bit hard to really get a sense of the shape of this. So it's also good practice for 3D modeling. This is an excellent one to get started with. So the first thing we're going to start with is we're just going to draw this basic shape in our front view here, minus the round on the back. So it's a lot of what I call skeletoning. We're going to use a lot of construction lines that have reference dimensions on them. So let's jump into Inventor. We'll start a new part. Open up our origin as usual. Make it visible. Press F6. And again, we'll start a new sketch. So what I like to do is just start with just a long construction line. This is actually going to be quite long, so let's do something over 5 inches. Be good to start with. Okay, so we've got that there. Now what we can do is we're going to draw a rectangle over top of that. Actually, let's just draw a rectangle right here. Again, approximate dimensions, nothing terribly perfect here. Line that up with the end of our center line here. And then we'll just close that in. So if we go back over here to our dimensions, we're basically trying to draw out this rectangle here that's going to be a 1/2 inch tall by 2.5 long. So we're going to say you're 2.5 long, you're 1/2 inch wide, and then we have our center line here, so we want to make sure we're centered up with respect to that. So we're going to make this 0.25 from the center line to the edge of that. And then here we're going to actually delete that line on the end. We're going to draw another line in with a construction line, so we got to make sure we hit that kind of orangey Y shape. And when it lined up with our ends, just draw a line that's a little bit too long. A little hard to see there, but it's there, and it ends right there where a little dot shows up there. We'll put in a dimension, and that dimension is going to be 0.75. And again, we want to make sure we're centered up with respect to our center line here. So from the end of the line to our center line is going to be 0.75 divided by 2. Alright, so that's centered up. Next, we're going to do that again. So our next step is we're going to come down 2 inches and create our point, which we didn't want to do that. We're going to click over to Inventor here. So we're going to put a point somewhere over here, and we're going to make sure that it's 2 inches away from the end. So we'll just drop a point on our center line. So okay, so from the point to our 3/4 inch line is going to be 2 inches. And then right here we need to put in a 5/16 tall line that's centered up on our center line. Let's draw that in. So again, construction tools here, so we're going to make sure construction is on. Just kind of go here and we'll just draw a line and give it a length of 5/16, and then tell it, okay, so from our center line to the end of view is going to be 5/16, or D6 divided by 2. So it's centered up. Then from here to our point is also going to be 1/4 inch. Okay, so now we've got the skeleton kind of built. Okay, so now we've got our skeleton built. Now we can start drawing in our lines. So we're going to go to the end of our 3/4 inch line here, and then the end of our 5/16 line. And then we're going to go, I forgot to turn construction off. That's okay. We're going to select our line and turn construction off. Back to our line tool. Make sure construction is off again. Again, we're just connecting the dots here to our point. And then up here, same thing. And then right to our 3/4 inch line there. Okay. So if we take a look at our profile here, we've got a rectangle back, we've got the kind of arrowhead shape. The only thing we're missing are these rounds. There's a few ways we could do that. I like to sort of employ the same method we used in AutoCAD. So we'll just draw in a circle, and we will dimension it. So our radius for that is 3/4 of an inch. So in Inventor, when we dimension this, we got to make sure that we note the difference between diameter and radius, because right now this is measuring a circle in diameter, so it's going to be 1.5 inches in diameter. And now we can use our constraints here. We can say, okay, this circle is tangent to this line. We'll pull it up, and then we're going to say we're going to do a coincident constraint, which we haven't done yet. So if we select coincident, and then we select our circle, and then we select the end of this line, we say you touch there. And then we can come in with trim, X on the keyboard, and just remove the extra material there. Again, we could mirror this, or I could just repeat that process. I'm going to repeat it just so that it's a little bit easier to remember. So again, 1.5 inch circle, tangent, that circle is tangent to this line. And then we're going to say coincident, this circle is coincident to the end of this line. Then we'll come in again with our trim tool and remove the extra bits of the circle, extra bit of the line, and we lost a dimension there. Hit Control Z. So when we did this, what it did was it added length to our dimension here. So we can actually, we're going to delete that 2.5 inch dimension, and we're going to say from here to here is 2.5. And then watch what happens when we remove the end of our line. It doesn't move. So before, what it did was it said, okay, you told me this horizontal line has to be 2.5 inches, and you just made it shorter. So rather than making it shorter, it just shoved the whole right half of the drawing to the right in order to remove the excess bit of material there. We don't want that. All right, so we've got our completed chisel shape here, so we're going to finish the sketch. We'll hit extrude. Now this is going to be tricky if you didn't close in that profile. It might come up as a surface model, which we don't want. Okay, we don't want that. We want a nice solid model here. And this, we're going to extrude this 1/2 inch. Okay. All right. So now what we're going to do is we're going to cut away some of our material. In order to do that, we need some kind of a plane that's not embedded in this. So we're going to use our work plane again, and we're just going to go to our XZ plane. We're just going to click and drag and pull it up. Doesn't really matter how far. And we'll click the check box as long as it's not in line with our current chisel. So then on our work plane 1, we're going to draw a new sketch. So we've got our curve is right here, so the front kind of half of our chisel starts right here. So we're going to start marking out some points here. So we're going to click point, and we're going to put a point right here in line with where our chisel point kind of starts. And then right in the middle of our 5/16 section here, we're going to click there. See, that turns up green, so that's right in the middle there. And right in the middle of our, again, the point, kind of the end there, we're going to do that. And what we'll do is we'll come in with our line tool, and we're just going to connect those dots here, here, here. Then to make a completed profile, we're going to come out here and then come way back. This point doesn't matter. It could be really anywhere to the right of this edge. What we're trying to do is remove this material here. So we're going to hit Finish Sketch. We're going to hit Extrude. It's going to find that profile for us here, there, and there. Except we don't want to do that. We want to cut. So we're going to go down to Output. Right now it says Boolean. Okay. We want to cut, and we want to say through all under distance. And see what it's doing here. It's removing part of our chisel. That's what we want. So we'll click OK. F6. And now if we look at the front of our chisel, we can see that tapered face. Okay. There we go. So one last part of the chisel here. We're just going to click on the top face here. And we're going to add that 5/8 radius on the end. So we're going to draw kind of a center line here. So construction line, find the middle of this edge, draw that out, and then we're going to draw an arc here, 1, 2, and along that line 3. Nope, we made that construction, so we're going to make it not construction by selecting it and unchecking construction. And then we're going to give this a dimension of 5/8 in radius. There we go. See, that flattens it out quite a bit. But because we lined up on this center line, it maintained the center point of that arc in line with that center line. If this point were way up here or way over here, we'd have an uneven arc. We don't want that. So we'll go back over to line. We're going to turn off construction line. We're going to close in that profile with another line there. And now I can come back in and just extrude this. It senses it. Obviously we want to go the other direction, so we're going to flip that around. Obviously that's too far. Now, I could tell it 1/2 inch very simply. That would fix it. The other option is if we look in our distance here, it says 1 inch through all. We definitely don't want through all. We can click 2. And now it says select a face. Here's our face. Click OK. What that does is if I were to ever change the thickness of that, of the back portion of the chisel here, it would automatically adjust. So that's what we want. So press F6. I'm just going to make all our planes kind of disappear here just so we can see this chisel. Because it is a complicated part, and I want to make sure that you're able to see all of it. Okay, so again, we've got kind of a parallel flat here. We've got the tapered, slanted portion, parallel flat. Let's look at it from the top here. Let's rotate that. So again, parallel, parallel, tapered, and flat. All right, and that is the chisel.